Hi, welcome to Life in a Bottle, Season 3, Episode 1. I'm Kyle, and I'm super excited to be kicking off our first video of 2021 with this wine in particular. Where are we? Big picture, we're diving right into it. We're in the United States. We're in California, in the North Coast region, more specifically in Sonoma County, and we'll get into a little bit further specifics in a moment here. There's a couple of different vineyard sites, but without further ado, this is the 2018 Broc Cellars Starr Zinfandel. Now, California Zinfandel, you might be thinking something rich and jammy and opulent, and this is not that, but we'll get to that in a second. To kind of run the tape back a little bit and start from the beginning, Chris Brockway started Broc Cellars, and he didn't really know where he was headed, what kind of wines he wanted to make right out of the gate, but he quickly found his niche making super food-friendly wines that reminded him or were inspired by the wines of Beaujolais and the Northern Rhone. And those wines are going to be a little bit fresher, not super high in alcohol. They're going to have a little bit more acidity, and the grape is really going to shine. So you're not really relying on barrel or oak and spice and all those things. You're really letting the grape do the talking, and Chris does that beautifully. All of the wines that he works with are made from grapes that are farmed sustainably, if not certified organic. This is not certified organic, but it is practicing organic. If you've been in the store in the past few months, you've probably had somebody recommend a Broc Cellars wine to you, whether it is the Broc Love Red, or the Love White, or the Happy Chenin, or this guy. We've thrown it into a couple of holiday sales lately, but it's never really gotten the attention that we think it's due, so here we are. As I mentioned, this is Zinfandel. It's 100% Zinfandel from two different vineyards. The first is Arrowhead Vineyard in Sonoma Valley, and then inland just a little bit further in the Russian River Valley, Buck Hill Vineyard. So these sites, while they get enough sunshine and long enough seasons to really get these grapes super ripe, these grapes are picked early at low bricks, so low sugar content. Right as soon as they crest that wave of ripeness is where they're picked. So they maintain a lot of that freshness, a lot of that acidity, and a really surprising amount of floral complexity, which I'll get to once we get into the glass. That's kind of his hallmark, is that freshness and that brightness. As far as fermentation is concerned, once we get into the winery, the Zinfandel is hand destemmed and fermented in great big stainless steel tanks with only the yeast that comes in on the grapes from the vineyard. Once fermentation is complete, it's aged in neutral oak barrels for about 10 months. So none of that rich, spicy oakiness, but you do get some complexity from the barrel that complements that fruit really beautifully, but lets it stay the star of the show. To dive into the glass, the nose on this is completely killer. It's so exciting. It's bright and fresh and lively, those tart, juicy red berries, some darker blackberries, maybe some currants, a little bit of red plum. There's a mineral component that reminds me, ironically, or unironically maybe, of Beaujolais, that granite kind of mineral that comes through. And then there's some dry and dusty, but dark earth as well. A little bit of spice, but not oaky spice. And that floral component, that's super interesting. If I didn't know better, I'd think this might be Syrah, because there's a little bit of pepperiness that's typical of Syrah, and a little bit of that like violet wildflower that's really pretty impressive for a Zinfandel, and unexpected for sure. On the palate, the wine is fresh. Again, juicy red and dark berries, but right on the line between tart and ripe. So there's still some pucker, there's still some mouth watering going on for sure, but the fruit is beautifully round. That earthiness kind of comes through even more on the palate. That dry, dusty earth, a little bit of leathery tannin that kind of keeps that finish going for a while. And then kind of on the back end, you get a little bit more of that floral component and a little bit more of that spice. And it just keeps you going back for another sip. It's so good. It's probably one of the best burger wines that I've tasted in recent memory, for sure. But I wouldn't stop there. I would pair this with lamb, pork would be great with this. If you're doing sausages, kielbasa even, something like that, Italian sausage, this would be killer with any of that. I could honestly see myself kicking back with a little duck rillette and some cheese, maybe a little baguette, and just going to town. But I'm gonna have to try not to drink the rest of this bottle and then go back to work. So Chris, cheers. Awesome wine, happy to have it. And if you come into the store, check it out, check out the rest of the Broc lineup. We will be happy to point them out to you. Cheers, guys.